Coming up next on the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast.
I hate to break it to you, that never ends. It's our purgatory, if you will. It's just like this swinging back and forth between too many clients and too many cleaners.
From your first dollar to your first million, welcome to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, presented by Zen Maid. Join your host, Stephanie Pipkin, founder of Serene Clean, as she shares proven tips, tricks, and hard-earned lessons. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, get ready to discover how to build your own cleaning empire. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Pipkin, and today's guest is my friend, Helen, who is the owner of Cool Peaches Cleaning Services in New Jersey. Helen, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad I was able to convince you because I just love talking to you, and I think this is going to be a great conversation. So thank you for joining me.
Oh my God. No, Stephanie, all the thanks is to you because I totally didn't think I deserved to be here. And you did convince me that I do. So I am so happy and I've been looking forward to having a conversation, especially considering the path that has led me to finding you and being here.
Yes. Well, first off, deserving, you absolutely are. First, I want to talk to everybody who owns a cleaning business. So, and you truly have had a really wonderful path. So yes, share how did you and I meet? Where did you start in your cleaning business? Sure. What did you do before? Spill all the tea.
Yeah. Okay. So, totally kind of did not anticipate that at the ripe age of 45, I will be starting a cleaning business. I had ventured onto the whole corporate path. I had my bachelor's degree in computer science, went on to have an MBA in finance, did the whole corporate route and always thought that would be where I would be. But things have changed. Baby number one came, baby number two came, baby number three came. And so my priorities have changed along with every kid that I had. And when I had my third, when he turned about 2 years old, I left my corporate job. It just didn't make sense anymore. And so I did the whole stay-at-home mommy thing, and it was absolutely wonderful. And I absolutely loved the time that I had to spend with my kids. But as they got older and went on to full-time school and daycares, I found myself looking to do something more. But I knew I didn't want to go back to corporate. I knew I didn't want to do the whole commute, waking up at 5 a.m., barely seeing the kids. So at the same time, my friend had left her corporate job as well, and we decided to embark onto real estate. And thus began my journey of entrepreneurship, I guess you could say. And we started by investing in properties. It was buy and hold properties, and it was great. Fortunately, unfortunately, we started in 2019, and we know what happens in 2020. So, but nonetheless, we did great, and we started in New Jersey. We ventured into North Carolina, and that was great until things have really started to become difficult for small real estate investors. And so we decided to separate, but it gave me a really great experience in kind of, running my own business or being part of a partnership. And it really taught me what it's like to really, work for myself. And I still went back to a corporate for a minute after we separated. But I don't know, once you kind of get a taste of working for yourself and understanding what you can do, at least for me, it was very difficult to work in a corporate environment again, and report to someone and be accountable to someone else and not just to myself. And so I started looking again into doing something, starting a business, and then it was a matter of finding the right business for me. And I looked into a lot of YouTube videos where people discussed their own business and what they did, and a lot of podcasts and so on. And eventually, I found someone was talking about running a cleaning business, and I thought it was a really cool idea, something that I understood. I understood the concept of running a business. I liked the fact that it was you could run it remotely, or you can be as kind of involved, either remotely or on site as much as you wanted. And I found someone. I found a coach, and so I decided to dive in. And at the end of 2023, I started Cool Peaches Cleaning. And when I start something, I love to listen to a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos. And so I found it was a Zen Maid Summit. I forget what year it was. Was it 2020 or
2021? Probably. That was the first time I talked to you. So, yeah.
Okay. So it was the first one. And I heard a lot of people, and they were all wonderful, but you came on and I was blown away. I mean, you were and I was amazed. First of all, the amount of information that you had given. I kept pausing and writing things down, taking screenshots. I was so amazed at someone who was so young and really turned it into like a company. It wasn't a hustle. It wasn't a side thing. It was a real business. And I was completely in awe of you. And then at the end, when you said that you can connect with me and I do consulting, I'm like, oh my God, like for sure I am connecting. And if it wasn't that night, it must have been the next morning where I reached out to you and we connected. And you really, my God, like you were so on point with everything, and you were so personable, and you were able to tell me exactly, what made sense, what didn't make sense. And it has helped my business tremendously. Like you gave me that support that I needed to really think, okay, I can do this. And here we are.
Oh, well, thank you, Helen. Number one, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And so you are a very, very competent horse who could run her race just fine without me. So let me clarify. A beautiful race we have here. But I'm glad that you did reach out and we were able to connect, because clearly I really feel that you are made for this business, and you have a really good head on your shoulders for business as well as for why people want to hire us. And I think understanding your customer is so important, because if you don't know how to speak to them, then it doesn't matter how good your cleaning is. So how were you getting your first clients? I think it's a pretty unique aspect considering your background in the real estate stuff.
Yeah. And some of those skills from doing real estate were really transferable and helped me out a lot in this business. So, the first clients really were through Facebook posts. I advertised through Facebook in our local's town page or other surrounding towns. So that was kind of the first way of getting customers. Then I signed up and I'm still part of Google LSA. And that has been a game changer. If you're able to start getting reviews and really build up your profile, it's a great way to build a business and to get customers. And it's different. I don't do Google ads. It's just local service ads.
Same. We're the same way. As it's only being a Google certified local business guy. So I personally do not recommend, at least in the beginning or even intermediate, like doing Google pay per click, because what they're clicking on and going to is probably not very impressive. So you're wasting that click, frankly.
100%.
None of us are very impressive in the beginning, where if you can get some good reviews, build out your Google map location, which, is completely free, then the leads are a lot more likely to come in. Is that where you would say, Helen, that you get most of your leads is through Google searching?
So it's actually that, but I have also joined. So Google search is great. Another great source of getting leads is I joined a local BNI group. So for those who don't know, it is it's called Business Network International. And what it is, it's pods, different groups, and they have groups, I think, in pretty much every town, where the purpose is to be part of a a group of business owners and get to know each other and get to know each other's business, and thus refer people to those to those business owners. So for example, my pod, we are at 32 people. The best part about it is that there could only be one cleaning service business owner. There could only be one personal real estate attorney, or there could only be one gutter cleaning or contractor, whoever it is. And the best part is that you really get to know those people. A lot of these services I personally used. My tax accountant is part of the BNI group. The tax advisor, there's so many services that I have personally used, electrician, HVAC. And so you get, in our type of business, it's kind of easy to refer because a lot of people know other people who need cleaning services. And especially, there's one business owner, he's in real estate. So of course, that's a great way to get referrals as well. And that leads to other real estate agents. And, they deal with new clients all the time. So that's another great way to get referrals. And Facebook groups, 10 Facebook groups, kind of advertising, but actually the customers do the advertising now for me. So.
Yeah, I love when they start commenting and posting you. So by the time you even see the post, you already have 4 or 5 people saying,
it's great.
Go to Helen, like she's great. It feels good, and also it's just like that social proof, even more so in a variety of ways. And I can definitely I went to our local BNI like a free meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
And we didn't join because we were so at max capacity. We're like, we can't take any more business right now. So which is a good problem to have at that time, but definitely. Yeah. I have heard so many good things about BNI. Like you said, you're going to be the only one who is in your pod that has that offers that service. But it is really great for making those connections, and that people are way more likely to refer people that they know and like. And so if you are really struggling in the beginning, especially where you're just like, I'm not getting any traction. Well, you know. It's the whole, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That is actually super true in our industry.
100%.
It really is. And we actually met one of our companies that we refer back and forth to this day. So even though we didn't join at that time, I may still consider just, again, we're at that weird place of if we get too much business, we freak out, because it often happens all at once.
I know. I so know. I know. Every time someone asks me, they're like, well, is it, what's your biggest struggle? Is it finding customers or finding, staff, workers, staff? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it depends on the day. It literally, one day I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my God, we have so many clients. How are we going to be able to, get to everyone? And then the next day it's like, where are all of the clients?
Yeah. And guys, I hate to break it to you. That never ends. That's that is just our, it's our purgatory, if you will. It's it's just this swinging back and forth between too many clients and too many cleaners. And every day is different, I swear. But it can be just, it's better to have a wait list. I really think that of clients, I'd rather have lots of people who want us and they're waiting out. It gives you a sense of exclusivity and that you're a hot commodity. And the company that we actually recommend, they're ServPro, which I'm sure you're familiar with ServPro, the franchise. And you'd think, they're a cleaning company. Well, not really. They do extreme situations, and they also do damage for its water or insects or fire damage, that type of stuff. So, or hoarders, more extreme situations that we don't do, but they also don't do regular cleaning. So if they get a call or we get a call for the others types of business, we're like, nope, go to ServPro. They do that, and they do the same thing for us. And so
that's great.
Even that type of thing where it's you'd think, oh no, they're in cleaning. Well, no, they're not. They're adjacent to us, and those are really good companies to go and create that relationship. Window washers, pressure washers,
absolutely,
carpet cleaners.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid, guys, to go hit them up and say, hey, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine,
Exactly. And that's, that's kind of through BNI, you sort of get all of that because we have, someone who does flooring. Great. Someone who does basement restorations. Great.
Yep. And your clients, when they ask, you have somebody to recommend then.
Exactly. There's someone who's installing a new HVAC in the new home that they just purchased. Guess what?
Yep.
So it's great, but I didn't know about ServPro. So that's something I'll need to look into as well.
Yeah.
There must be one in our area too.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Or a Service Master, I think, is kind of similar, but any of that kind of extreme stuff where, it's past our capabilities or desire to do. So I'm so happy that you brought up BNI. I definitely think it is worth the investment if you put into it what you need to, especially for our newer owners who are struggling to get that traction and word of mouth.
Yeah. I joined literally like as soon as I pretty much, registered my LLC. I joined literally on the first step of creating a business, and it seemed scary coming in, really not being an established business, but it has literally paid for itself tenfold. And I just joined again for next year, and I think I will be a member for many, many years to come.
Oh, that's awesome. So as you mentioned, getting clients has been fairly easy for you. What would you say are some of the biggest hiccups you had when it came to any client stories or mistakes you felt like you made on the client side?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Let's hear all the bad things that you've done, Helen.
All the time.
Let's skip the wins.
yeah. Let's go right to the meat and potatoes of the business, the fun stuff. I think, and listening to other, business owners and some of the guests that you had on your podcast, I think the one thing that everyone has in common is really getting the pricing correct and understanding, at least for me, was the scope of the job. And I've made so many mistakes, majority of the time, unfortunately, underpricing the job, where, lucky for me, the ladies have stuck it out with me, and there were jobs where I lost money on for sure. And there are jobs that, it ended up being pennies on the hour, and I felt awful. But, with every mistake that I've made, I've learned. And the biggest takeaway was to ask many, many questions from the customer. So that, and by no means does this mean that I no longer make mistakes all the time, but, get as many details about the property as possible, because, and I think like your business, Stephanie, I don't really do in-person consults unless it's a very kind of odd, job or something that's very kind of specific that I just need to go see. All of my quotes are through the conversations that I have. And so I have learned to ask many, many questions. And what I've also learned is that customers, clients, they love answering questions. They love talking about
They like
themselves.
talking about themselves. I mean, and also especially people who feel maybe in this area, they don't have any right to complain about because it just is how it is. Like, well, I have to do housework. I have to do the cleaning. Everybody does. Like, I shouldn't get to complain about the workload, but it's like, if we can give them that space to vent about something that is taken for granted that they just do, with no regards to their other responsibilities or the status quo when it comes to all of that, I can go for an hour on workload in a household, but but typically when we are speaking to mostly women who they have all of this on them and nobody cares. So if we can give them that outlet and say, I care and I want to actually take it off your shoulders and I hear you, like they feel so validated.
You're 1,000% right. And I open every conversation, and this is again taking it from what I've taken away from being in real estate and working with clients. I pretty much open up every conversation with, tell me what's up. Like, tell me what's going on. Tell me about your home. Tell me what your needs are. What are you looking for? Bring me up to speed. And it's such a, I feel like, great open-ended question that allows customers to just kind of like go into every space of
It's
what
like
they're
getting your
looking
hair
for.
done. Like for some reason, I like bare
Right.
my soul every like 6 weeks, and I'm like, why did I say all that? Like it's all about me in that moment. It's the same thing.
You're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some conversations of like, I just spent an hour booking, a small job. But, the feedback that I get from, majority of the clients are like, I've talked to many other businesses. And for a lot of people, it's such a big decision to hire a cleaning company. For some people, they're just like, whatever, just come clean my home. It's a, 3-bedroom, whatever. But for others, they just, it's such a big decision. And when they get to speak for someone for an hour about every piece and nook and cranny of their home, they feel heard. And I know that I've gotten a lot of customers through spending that 1 hour on the phone listening to them. And it could not be, it could be not about their home. They sometimes tell me about their dogs or cats or kids or grandkids. So you kind of get into that. And I think that's, that's a great, thing to be able to do and a great way to really relate to the clients.
Mm-hmm. What would you say when it comes to like pricing then, and kind of, based on one of the biggest revelations I remember you having was letting the client kind of dictate the work versus you saying what you dictate. Yeah. So I'd love for you to share what you think about that now versus before.
Yeah. So, with the pricing, that's again, coming back to it, it's such a tough thing, to tackle, understand how to price the job, and every, market is different. And so, one of the things that I came up with was, we're going to be, instead of flat rate, we're going to be charging by hour, and we are going to, let the client pretty much dictate what we do. I'll preface this that it did not work well.
Yeah, don't do this, guys.
Don't do this. This is one of those things that don't do it. It sounded like a good idea, one of those, like in theory. But to clients, it kind of sounded good too. So I was like, you're the master of the show, you're the director, you run the play, you tell us what you want done. And we'll do it. So, and it backfired in so many ways. First of all, it was impossible to allocate the right amount of time for the appointment. So what ended up happening is that I couldn't book any appointments after the first appointment, because you have no idea. Because all of a sudden, if the client wants the windows washed as well, and there's no way to time, how long it's going to take. And then also being properly prepared for the appointments, that didn't work as well, because the ladies, they had no idea of what to expect. My team members, they had no idea what they were walking into. So that didn't work. And then also what happens with pricing by hour, and I know you do it, and it's interesting because I know it works for you, but it didn't work so well for me because, for example, if I had scheduled someone and it was by hour, and then, something had changed, and instead of one person, 2 people would come. And now, but I didn't discuss that up front because we just discussed, it'll be about 5 hours. But if 2 ladies had come instead of 1, because I had to change something last minute, well, it ended up being 2 hours instead of 5. So, the payment was only for 2 hours, even though it was 2 ladies. But, it just wasn't fair because I didn't discuss that if it was 2 ladies, it would be double. And if it was 1, it would be 1. So it did not work out. Don't let the customers run the show. And this is what you and I had discussed. You're the business owner. You are going to kind of dictate as to, if it's a deep clean, if it's a standard follow-up clean, you're the one who's going to be dictating what that job will look like, and allocate the proper amount of hours, as much as best as possible.
Yeah. And I'm so happy you just said everything that you did, because it brings up a lot of things that new owners run into. And we all kind of have a lot of mistakes that we make because we simply don't know. Even the use of the phrase man hours or labor hours.
Yeah.
if you don't use those words and then you do what you talked about of like, okay, you cut it in half because you have 2 cleaners. Well, now the client's like, I'm only paying for 2, even though it's still, or 2.5, it's still 5 man hours. And so like using protective language, literally in our customer guidelines, I made a stick figure diagram explaining what man hours means because so many people don't know what that means. I didn't know what it meant before I started this business. And so just always using that protective language and, you know, it really is most pricing models can work, but they have to be very, very specific in a lot of ways. So it's like the only way it works for us to do hourly is we know our production rates. Well, that really you need to know it for all pricing models is how fast do you clean? What happens when they want to add this? Like all of these variables, like it's that whole, like I say this meme all the time, but the meme with like the lady and the numbers, like that's pricing and that is like scheduling enough time. It really is to be accurate.
You're 1,000% right. You really have to, you know, be very specific in defining all the terms, you know, and setting the expectations up front. And I had totally not done that. So the by hour pricing model could absolutely work as long as it's properly defined and explained to the customer. But,
and the downside is customers, when they see that hourly, they get all sorts of thinking in their head, like, wait a minute, I make this, you know, and they start to judge what they believe is the value, I'm definitely not telling you guys that hourly is the best way. I'm saying it's the way we've chosen to focus on. And, you know, that may change in the future and flat rate can work absolutely beautifully, but then you run into okay, all of a sudden it's taking way longer than you thought, and now you're losing your butt. And so it all comes down to knowing how fast you can clean and adjusting in the future. When you make a mistake with pricing, okay, next time you get a house that's same size, same condition, add $200, see what happens. And really that experimenting.
Exactly. You're 100% right. And then also ask more questions, right? So for me, like, I feel like I'm always adding more questions to ask. You know, like, is it post-construction? You know, is there not just basements, but is there an attic too? Is there an extra space that we're cleaning aside from like the living room? Walk me through your house. You know, what do you know, we have hard water in New Jersey. You know, talk to me about the bathroom. How's your, you know, kitchen? Talk to me. Tell me, you know, do you have a dog? You know, how many does he shed? Do you have a cat? You know, like those things, like you just don't know up front until you come to terms with it, come to face with it. And then, you know, you understand that there's a big difference.
Yeah. And honestly, so many people, I think that customers are going to be are turned away or annoyed by a really robust intake system. To me, all it does is scream that we know what we're doing. Because if I just ask you number of bedrooms and bath and I spit you out a price, and this is why I don't do prices on the website, is I can't give you an accurate price. And I'm going to bite myself in the butt or look stupid on the front end or on the back end. I'm going to look dumb on the back end. And I'm going to have to constantly adjust or I'm losing my butt on the price. But if I can ask all of these questions and come up with a cohesive custom, like this is your price and it's based off my knowledge, it's going to make them feel more confident. It's like going to the doctor and telling the doctor, I think I need my knee replaced. And they're like, you know, and then the doctor being like, well, if that's what you think, okay, let's do it. Like what?
Sounds good.
You wouldn't do that. The doctor would be like, no, lady, this is what you need instead, because I know, because I'm the doctor. And so even when we're talking about, you know, not letting the client dictate what they want, like I will clarify for us, they can cut off rooms. Like we will absolutely allow them to do like a limited hour thing where you just want kitchen and bath. That's great. But they can't say, don't do the floors, don't do the dusting. They don't get to do that because all that's doing is confusing the cleaners. It's giving them a lower quality product, even if it's what they ask for. Like, I don't care if that's what they think they want. It's not going to feel good when they come in and the floors aren't done.
And I remember you telling me this during one of our initial calls. And that, you know, again, not something that you, I think as a new business owner can think through. Because it seems like, you know, you're the client, you tell me what you want. No, a lot of times, you know, no, there's certain, you know, minimum standards that we need to follow. And that's our protocol. And we stick to it because at the end, you're right. The customer is not going to be happy. It's not going to make us look good. And, it's just the outcome is not going to be great for everyone. So it's great that you mentioned that. And one thing to add, I think, is that has saved me a lot of times is following up with an email confirmation. And in that email, really like all those out of 5 bedrooms, you only do 4 or do inside the fridge. But, certain things like little details that for the customer that they want, including those things in the email confirmation so that sometimes the job is booked, today for 3 weeks out. And having that reference for you and the customer is super important because you can always refer back to it. And this is what we discussed. And I sent you an email to confirm that this was, our agreement. Having that is huge.
Oh my gosh. So huge to have things in writing. And when I say have a paper trail, guys, like that's what I'm referring to simply is, okay, you talk on the phone with a client, send a discussion summary over email so that it's in writing. You have that paper trail, and also even giving them the benefit of the doubt, not saying that they're going to try to screw you over. They may forget, or maybe you talk to one stakeholder, meaning you talk to wife. Okay. Now you're meeting with husband later. So, just so everybody's in the loop kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah. Like you said, referencing back if the cleaning's in a month, or 3 weeks or whatever. And you're like, crap. Like, and for us, we're just immediately adding the notes to ZenMaid, of course, as well. But that whole relying on your memory, if all of our listeners can take any lesson away from every single podcast episode, is stop trying to rely on your memory. It's not going to work.
Do not. It doesn't work. You will speak to, so many customers, even if the cleaning is tomorrow, there's still so many things that will happen between now and then. You just won't remember. And I tell to the customers, I tell them, you will receive an email confirmation. It will have all the things that you and I had discussed. Double check me, make sure that I got it, everything that we've discussed, make sure I have it all. If there's something that I've missed, let me know. I'll be happy to correct it. So it's just kind of like, and I think it makes us look professional as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
100%.
Like it just takes it to the next level too.
Well, and really like all of these things, again, like you guys might be like, oh, we're pestering them, blah, blah, blah. Really what we're doing is putting them at ease that they made the right choice, that, wow, I'm being cared for in this service. Like they're listening to me, they're empathizing with me, they're clarifying to make sure they have exactly what I want. Right. And that just screams to your client or your lead, wow, these people are professional and they're way better than those people who couldn't even, tell me the day they were going to come. Right. So it's going to make you stand out 100%. So it sounds like your communication skills have really excelled and just continue to get better as time has gone on. Is there any other area you feel like you have really transformed since the beginning?
So, eventually my pricing did get a little better. I now have, 4 teams of 2. And these ladies have been with me for, not from the beginning. One of them has been with me from the beginning, and then she brought another lady, and then she brought, so it's been wonderful that, I've been able to have found a really great people to work with me, who, if I mess up, they can, they can back me up.
Yep.
They're wonderful. I'm still a one woman show. It's, all the admin stuff that still goes through me. And, I think at least for next year, I don't foresee that changing.
But honestly, like Helen, that sounds right. Financially, that sounds right. When I had, I think, 7 to 10 part-timers before I even had a part-time admin person in. So it's like, I think from the internet, we all are like, oh my gosh, I should have an admin. Like you're doing it wrong if you don't have an admin person in the beginning. And obviously there are, virtual assistant options for part-time, but I'll give it to you straight, guys. You can't afford an admin person unless you have a bunch of money that you're investing in this. If you're bootstrapping
100%.
this thing, starting from zero, like a lot of us did, you're going to be doing the admin labor.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
I think it's a really unreasonable expectation that you're not, unless you have money to invest in it.
You're 100% right. For me, I don't, at this point. And I also, I don't know if it was the same for you or other people, but, when you start out the business, and you're right, when you listen to, other business owners who are way ahead of you, and, you kind of like, I want to have this huge company and have, cars that are going to be wrapped and have, different locations and maybe go out of state. And, now I'm like, I do maybe eventually want to get there, but I don't want to get there as quickly as I thought I would. I like kind of being, sort of the mom and pop, if that's just me, type of business, keeping it small, really knowing my customers, knowing, my teammates. For now it works. And, I'm starting to understand that bigger is not always better. And maybe, a year from now, I may be speaking a different, singing a different song, saying a different story. I don't know. But for now, I understood that really having it the size that it is, it's manageable, and it still gives me the freedom that I wanted with having this kind of business.
I think, the pace that we go is often the exact pace that we're supposed to go and be on, and the path that we're supposed to be on. Because I look back at some of our biggest growth spurts and they were quick and how out of control it felt at times. And it's like, it was such a whirlwind, where now we're at a much, much more like stable, at times we're not growing at all right now, really, we're kind of staying the same, and it's totally okay as long as, as long as it's sustaining itself and we're focusing on improving, so that when we do get new accounts, and I'm not saying we're not getting new accounts, but it's more so like not these giant leaps and bounds that we had before. So it's just, that feels good too. And I think, like you said, it's human nature to be very, grass is always greener. Like, it should be faster. But it's like, well, could you handle faster? Like, really? Like, could you? So maybe not.
Yeah. What are you willing to give up in order to have a bigger business? And are you able to give that up? I think is the question.
Well, and especially like, you gotta, like, we're not in bubbles, guys, of like, okay, when I started my business, I, was 22 years old, no children, no like responsibilities other than caring for myself. I had, obviously another job, but that is very different than a lot of folks I talk to who have sometimes an infant, I have some consulting clients who they were giving birth and they're like, I gotta go clean. And I'm like, what?
I know.
If you're listening right now, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
But it's just like, so you have to like give yourself some grace. I'm not saying don't have discipline and high standards for yourself, but like, take a look at your life and realize that, yes, if you have children, or, you're the primary caregiver, or whatever your situation is, you have health problems that mitigate your ability to do a bunch of physical labor. Like, you can't then compare yourself to 22-year-old Stephanie who could just work her ass off with no, consequences.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And also the standards, right? Like the quality of service that you're able to provide, right? Like now I follow up with every single new client that we have. Like, I personally follow up with them, whether they want to speak on the phone, whether they want to do back and forth texting. I have the time to do that. I speak with every client, like we said, right? Like, I can spend an hour if need be with every client, really getting to know them and their needs. And I feel like that's what, really kind of I guess that's what people like about Cool Peaches. And, when they're reviewing or when they're posting on Facebook about us, that's what they're saying. They're like, if you want someone who really understands what you're looking for and cares, call Cool Peaches Cleaning. And I feel like if we were to grow quickly, I wouldn't be able to provide that level of service. And
good point.
Have to outsource certain things, and I'm just not ready to give up the reins just yet.
No, and honestly, as you continue to really hone in of like, okay, is this our kind of competitive advantage? Is that we listen and care better than any other cleaning service in the area? We're not just this, run of the mill, quick wipe down, like mass production. A lot of times franchises are very much like this. So if you can stand out in that manner and that's your competitive advantage, doing anything that would hurt that would be a poor choice. So not saying you can't outsource that, but you have to be very particular about when you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And my first mentor with whom I signed up with, I remember asking, how many recurring clients do you have? And the response was, well, not many. Most of our clients stay for 2-3 cleanings and then, that's it. And to me, I was like, which is fine. That could be absolutely fine for, certain businesses. I'm sure that's a model that could work as well. I wanted to focus on building more of recurring clientele where, people really stay with us for as long as they need a cleaning service. And I think, that has been, we've been successful at doing that so far. So,
yeah. Well, I'm really wondering, delving in when somebody does cancel, really tracking as why are they canceling? Why are people leaving? Like we just had this is morbid. We just had multiple cleaning clients die, and that's why they canceled. And it's very sad when it happens, but we're like, wow, if that's the main reason of cancellation, we're doing pretty good.
Sure.
Super morbid, but we're finally got openings in that area. So. and also how much our cleaners connect, our cleaners, we were all just heartbroken over this. It's really hard. Yeah. If you haven't had that happen yet, guys, where a client has passed away, oh my gosh, it's very heartbreaking. It is like therapy. It's a very intimate thing to be in somebody's house. You're connecting with them in a way that not a lot of other people have the opportunity to do so. So if we lose clients by death, I feel that we've got some customer loyalty.
Yes, for sure. That's one way to tell. Either they're moving or they're they're
moving or they're dying. That's how we lose clients. But honestly, we have lost several from price too, just like they can't afford us right now. But but asking it and seeing those patterns of is it a quality thing? Is it consistency? Are you just not, is there nothing that makes you special over some other hot, shiny new cleaning company? And it's well, there's a problem then. We want to build roots and we want to build longevity in the client's mind of standing out. So like you said, that personal touch. This morning I spent, several hours doing my monthly Loom recordings where I record my anniversary shout outs. Basically, I make a video thanking personally every single client whose anniversary is in March, and I schedule out the email to go and it's saying thank you. And it's I don't do calls anymore because unfortunately, I would be on the phone for hours because I can't stop talking, as everybody listening knows. So it just is not scalable, but I can record a personal video.
That is such a great idea. That is fantastic.
Working really well, and they really seem to. Yeah, not everybody responds to it, but at least it's it's there. You're putting in the effort. And when I think of systematizing personalization, that's a great way to go about it. Of okay, I want to have personal touch, but I don't even live near my business anymore. and I'm not going to call them. I'm not picking up the phone. So I can do this though.
That is a great idea. My God, literally that's because, I mean, soon we're going to be coming up on some anniversaries as well. And that is a fantastic idea. I'm so stealing that and implementing that.
No, definitely do so. And it's really cool to then see and calling out whoa, today it was several had 5 years, several had 4 years, many had 3 years. Amazing. And I'm we've got longevity here and this is amazing. And thinking how much of a train wreck things were back 5 years ago. These people stuck it out with us and through multiple price increases. So really, I think, I know we all say, customer appreciation is so important, but I think it can kind of just go over our heads of okay, what can we do? And it is, of course, listening, checking in often. I think that to me is one of the best ways to avoid cancellations is that those frequent touch points. So asking them how it's going, giving them that space to to vent and really push them on it, because
Yeah.
I find, especially with women, they will just hold it in until they have like six little things, and then they cancel without notice. And it's like, why didn't you say anything? And it's like, well, guys, are we asking? Are we saying, I want to know the littlest thing that we could do better? Like, if you had to pick something, what would it be? And then, well, you never put my rugs back right after you mop the floors, and it annoys me.
Yeah.
And I feel like a Karen saying it, but I'm saying it. And you're like, great, put it to your notes. Make sure your cleaners never do it again.
No problem.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem. And again, validating them. They are paying for a luxury, and that's not obnoxious. That is that's a good point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And absolutely relating to the clients. And most of the time we can. I mean, you know, certain things, you know, we can't, but like we can also put ourselves into their shoes and say, okay, you know, if I was in their home and that's something that like, that's their thing, right? Like I have my things, that's their things, and making them feel okay about it. I feel like clients really just all of a sudden, they're just like breathing out. And you're right. I've had that happen where I would reach out to clients saying, I just wanted to, you know, check in, see how things are going. You know, is there anything that you would like for us to change? You know, anything that you want to mention? And so many clients are surprised by the fact that I'm checking in. They're like, oh my God, like, this is so nice. Like, no, everything is great. Or no, this could be, you know, done differently. I don't think a lot of businesses do that, at least not in this space. And by doing that small thing, just puts us like, you know, 8 steps above other businesses. And I think, you know, you mentioned your customers sticking with you through the price increases. It's worth it, right? Like it's worth it for them to stick with you, knowing that you will care to put the rugs back the way they want you to. It's, you know, in our business, I think still, you know, in the world of technology and things are going, you know, all digital and less personal. I think, you know, sticking with, you know, personal check-ins or doing a video like that goes a long way.
It really does. And especially like if you focus on residential, like it's harder to keep commercial. I'm not going to lie, guys. We just did a price increase on a dance studio that we've been cleaning for 2 years. They canceled. This is their last month, but we had to do the price increase because we were averaging out at like $37 because it was like, and our cleaners, when I say they look like they're near tears here, I'm not exaggerating. Hannah, who's my quality controller, she's listening to this right now, and she is like nodding her head because every time she goes there, literally the cleaner looks like they're about to cry because it has, I think they have 8 dance rooms and they're wall mirrors, and we have to clean all the mirrors and all the floors. So even if you have enough time, it just sucks. I hate cleaning there. It's a beautiful facility. It's just, dance studios kind of are hard, and they're very hard on the cleaners. And so we're like, you know, did the math. And even though I had a feeling that they would cancel, I was like, I think this is going to happen. This is going to push them over. It didn't stop the fact that it had to happen. And those are the decisions that are really hard to make sometimes because you're like, ooh, I'm going to lose this, but keeping it doesn't make any financial sense.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. And they might be back. You know, I've had some customers who have come back, you know, to me, because working with other businesses did not provide the same quality. And that's the best feeling in the world.
And then you up the price too.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's ever a validation that you need as a business owner, when you have a customer leave and then come back, that's like the best feeling ever. It takes one and you're like good for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, especially if like, I don't know if you've had this happen yet, Helen, because yours are independent contractors, right? Or are you?
Yes,
that's what I thought.
Independent contractors.
So I'll be curious to see if this has happened for you, but we have had it where cleaners have gone and started their own cleaning business and taken clients with. And that when those clients come back from a former employee, who maybe didn't leave on the best terms, not going to call anyone out. That feels really good. Really good. When it's like, yes, you can't get it anywhere else.
No, this is as good as it's going to get. And I just proved it. I didn't have that happen. I did have, you know, a cleaner leave, and, you know, not really on best terms, but like not kind of on horrible terms either. And, but like I said, right, like, so I had, one cleaner bring in another cleaner. So they're all kind of like chain connected. And her friends ended up staying with me. So they were working together and her friends ended up staying with me. And then probably about 4 or 5 months later, she ended up, asking if she could come back. And, slowly she is coming back. And, her quality of work has been great. She was just, thinking that the terms weren't fair. And I think, she tried on her own or working for another company and
I
understood
gotcha.
that.
Have you ran into any problems? I love just obviously, lots of ways to skin the cat, guys, of staffing. And I'm a W-2 girly. Helen's a IC girly. So any challenges or benefits that you've seen running ICs?
So I think the benefits that I see is that there's no predefined number of hours that we need to discuss upfront. And I can kind of start as slow as I need to, with the understanding that as business grows, as their reviews grow, or I receive more and more positive reviews, then we can scale up. So I love kind of having that flexibility with independent contractors. I don't know, maybe eventually I will switch the model, but in New Jersey, we can do either. So I don't foresee, at least not for the next year, changing anything. I like to have the flexibility of not needing minimum hours or not confining myself to X amount of hours for every cleaner.
That's a great point, because it's like, though I say, hire part-timers, you still got to hit like something for them. It's like, okay, I still have to get 20 hours or whatever for them as part-timers. Cause that was my kind of workaround around that, but it didn't make it any easier when we did have several cancellations and you're feeling like it and you're stressing because you're like, I got to get jobs.
Right. You got to fill it in.
I can absolutely see that being a benefit, especially in the beginning. And the beautiful thing is you can always transition or do both, do strategically use one in one space, one in another, whatever. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah. I foresee myself sticking with the IC model for the near future, just for the sake of having the flexibility in the number of hours and not sort of promising or over-promising and under-delivering and then being strapped for having to provide or paying out of pocket for the number of hours.
Do you pay, being ICs, do you pay a percentage of the job or an hourly?
So it's a flat rate. You can translate it into a percentage of the job. It does essentially translate into percentage of the job, but it is a flat rate. Again, I've tried hourly with the cleaners as well. And, it just didn't, sit. It just wasn't as easy. I don't know, for whatever reason. Once I switched over to flat rate.
Yeah, I feel like ICs, it makes more sense to do a flat rate or percentage, however you want to, because it's like they're their own business, entity. And so that makes more sense of like, this is your job price, where an employee is much more used to doing hourly. And again, you could flip flop that and people make it work. So you really have to look at like what makes sense for you and also your area. I know in Jersey, like, employees are more like just from, I remember our one conversation you said, staffing is tough. It is tough for you.
Yeah, it is tough. And I feel like, my team members, they appreciate knowing how much they're going to make upfront.
Yep.
Having that certainty. And of course, things come up, client cancel, could be sometimes last minute, kids get sick, things happen. But nonetheless, especially for recurring clients, not having to continuously, worry about, the hour, and knowing how much they're going to be making this week, next week, it just works.
Yep.
So, I'm sticking with that for probably always.
Love it. When it came to like, when you increase prices, like obviously that meant increase the price for your IC. Is that how you handle it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we haven't, and
they're not listening, Helen. Your ICs aren't listening, remember? So you can say anything.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
Like, they bust in the door. They're like, I heard on Filthy Rich Cleaners, Helen. That you're
so like, that's it. You said it.
I didn't think my employees were going to listen, and then they do. So I have to watch what I say. Not that I'm going to. I mean, I asked them about their bowel movements today in our team meeting. So we talked about cheese consumption, and I asked if this is HR appropriate, and Crystal nodded. So I was like, okay, I'm asking. You eat a lot of cheese. Like, are you okay?
Yeah. Let's keep going with that. Topic of the week.
Yes,
How much cheese and which one? Talk about building rapport with your, with your team.
Oh yeah, basically I'm just like a sister, like who apparently is technically the boss, but I don't act like it at all.
Which hat are you wearing today?
With each other.
Which is great. I mean, I think, I love the fact that you have, and that's what I'm kind of missing. And that's why, partly why I joined P&I is having that, connection
Rapport.
with other business owners. Yeah. But like, oh yeah, I was like, what were we talking about? Cheese. So doing the price increases. I haven't really increased the prices on our, and I should, and I will, but on our reoccurring clients, I haven't really done price increases yet. Just because, but on the new customers, I have.
Yep.
So, and, again, it could be for the same size house, that now, one of the cleaners is getting more versus for the, the client that they had for a while, from the beginning. So yeah, it does transition into them, making more, but it also, of course, transitions into me making a little more as well.
Yep. No, absolutely. And that's the thing with price increases. It is so staggered and gradual. And that's what we're about to do on a lot of residential is our current hourly rate for new clients is 55 per man hour. We've got a ton who are at 45, and they may have started at 35 years ago. And we got them 45 now. Let's get into 50, right? The goal is to get everybody to 50 so that we have a tighter, price area, because it's like, okay, how can we get our average appointment price up? That's always the goal, is what is that average appointment price? How can we get it up for not only first times, but for the maintenance cleans, because that's where the money is. And it truly is, it's gradual. And we for all of you who are considering doing price increases, which pretty much everybody, there is definitely some customers you probably need to increase prices on, I would guarantee, if you're listening to this. And we do them in batches. We never do across the board, everybody. Do a couple, because then at the worst, only a couple are going to leave, and most likely they're not going to leave, guys. Like if they're your customers and they're loyal, they've been with you for years, like these people that I'm talking about, that means they appreciate and value. And if you can, I don't want to say justify, you don't want to make like you're sounding or making excuses. It's more so like, hey, in the past 2 years since we last price increased you, these are all the benefits we've added. We've increased the wages to this. We've done all of this charitable giving to say like your money is going to good things. And that's why, I mean, it's good to do those things. Like that's important to me culturally, but also then it makes sense why we would increase. Of course we are. Like it just makes sense then to the client.
So how often would you say that you increase your prices? Is it every year that you review your clients?
Honestly, we look at it more at a close rate level, I would say. So it's like, how many are we closing? And if we are, and so that could be a lot of things. So keep this with a grain of salt. I know from an industry standard that we are probably where we can be in our area. We could probably maybe get it up to 60, but that's pushing it. Just from what I know the market will bear. And how do I know that? Look at our close rates. How many people are saying yes versus no? And as soon as that starts to eke up even over 50%, if it pushes even to 60 or 70%, automatic prices need to go up. Too many people are saying yes. And so that's how we determine it. And if nobody's saying yes, that doesn't mean your prices are too high. It may mean that you suck at sales. So keep that in mind and don't automatically say, I need to lower prices. Nobody's saying yes. Like it means there might be a problem with your sales process. But when it comes to current clients, at most I would do it every year. Looking at, and we just realized, a lot of these people, it's been 2 years. So it'll be 2 years in April. Every year is fine. I think, a lot of coaches will tell you do a price increase every year. I think that's fine too. But, for us, we're comfortable with every 2 years. And for some commercial accounts, it may be in 6 months. We just started a commercial account. We grossly underbid because it's a school, and they, when we bid it, it was during an off season, meaning like the kids weren't in school. So we didn't see what it was like under operation. And we're about to like almost double the bid, and hopefully they take it. We're going to give them multiple options basically, and they can pick and choose, but either we need to rotate tasks more or price needs to go up significantly because we're losing our butts on it right now. And that's a perfect example of like, no matter what, sometimes you still get the price wrong. But we can't just leave it. We have to do something.
No, you have to do something. Yeah, absolutely. So for those customers, after you send that anniversary message, you can follow up with
happy anniversary. Give us more money. I'm buttering them up so that they're ready for this.
Exactly. Just give it 2 days and then send the email following that. That's when you know that you have to.
Yeah, it's like when you come home with flowers and you're like, what did you do?
You're absolutely right. This is great. We just developed a strategy. That's it.
Yes, a price increase strategy, guys. Make them feel good. But yeah, I'm like I said, just staggering it. Okay, we'll do 5. See what happens.
Yeah.
Do another 5. See what happens.
That's
and that way we're kind of like lowering the risk of if we do lose any. And again, I always talk about, opportunity cost of like, okay, say we lose this client and they were at 45, 4 hours. We booked that same spot with that cleaner at $55 an hour. Right. Okay. 4 hours times 10, that's $40 more for that one spot. And they're probably twice a month. There's $80 more a month from that same time slot. And that's literally the math I'm doing in my head when they drop.
For sure.
So, not saying it's a good thing when somebody drops, especially if they are a loyal customer, because there is a lot to say about that loyalty and that word of mouth. But if they don't, if $40 is going to make or break them or whatever the amount is, like we are a business. We're still a business, guys.
Right. Yeah. At the end of the day. Yeah. And you're right. I was just thinking the same thing. There's certain customers that we have totally, I have, it's, they're at the price where I was just bidding just to get customers, just to fill in the slots. And, those prices just don't really make sense at all. And, again, it would suck to lose a customer who has been with you for a while, but at the same time, it's okay. It opens a slot for
and they may go to less frequent, maybe they go to monthly or something like that, and that's absolutely an option, or maybe reduce number of rooms so we can keep the same price or whatever. You can work with them for sure, but the whole point is like on average what you would make hourly, which whether you charge flat rate or hourly, we're talking about what if you were to do the math, what would it be? It needs to go up. And that's, what is it? Inflation's like 7% every year. So if you're not doing price increases to accommodate that, if you stay the same, you're losing. So we have to do price increases. Every business does.
Yeah, for sure. And just use ChatGPT and make a nice email.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I swear. I could be like me and ChatGPT could be like dating at this point. We talk to each other so much.
Oh my God. We're like best buds. Not a day goes by.
And I'm so nice to it. I'm like, well, thank you. I try not to get frustrated when it gets it wrong. Like it's not understanding what I'm wanting. I try not to yell at it. Cause again, when they take over the world, I want them to remember.
Stephanie and Helen were really nice.
They were super nice. Yeah. Give them a good position in the
You said please and thank you all the time. And even responding to a customer, there's sometimes there's just oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? What? And I'm like, okay, ChatGPT, this is I want to say this, but make it nice and say it in a professional manner. So that, make it more personal. Oh my God. And just spits out something, still getting the same point across, but in much nicer.
Well, it also kind of teaches you, like, if customer service is an area you guys struggle with or being blunt or whatever, I mean, you can't really use the excuse of that's just how I am. Like, the customer doesn't care what you feel about that type of thing. They're going to only perceive it how they're perceiving it. And so I find that I'm actually, like, I am using, like, the AI to, like, learn, okay, like this is perhaps the proper or more succinct way to explain something, because something I really struggle with, as we all know, is being very tangential and just not very clear and concise. So AI really helps me be more concise. And then I'm like, okay,
Same.
How do I be more clear just in my speaking, in my communication in general? And it doesn't always translate, but at least it's helping me learn a little bit.
I know. I feel like ChatGPT, like, I feel like it listens to my inner thoughts somehow. And it's like, that is what I was trying to say. Like, thank you. So it's great. I mean, I use it for text messages. I use it for emails. I use it for pretty much, for price quotes when I'm giving a proposal. There's probably not a day that goes by without me using.
Oh yeah, and also to consider things that maybe you're missing or having a blind spot to cleaners, like, or even like, well, I'm thinking of doing this. Tell me the downsides to this. Then it may bring up something. And a lot of people, I just saw a comment on one of the podcast episodes, like, what do you do when you don't have a coach? Go to ChatGPT and be like, you're a cleaning business coach. You are an expert. You run a $2 million cleaning business. I do residential, commercial, vacation rental, blah, blah, blah. And just like, use the talk to text option. So you don't have to type all this out. Just give the context. Like, what are the low hanging fruit of areas that I can improve? Or I'm really struggling in this area, or help me consider ways I'm doing this wrong, or what are the most likely ways to get leads, et cetera, et cetera. And like, that's a great way to have a coach,
that's a great idea.
And without having it. And obviously,
that's a great idea.
And podcasts and books and all that, of course. But we are in the information age, guys. Like, this is the beautiful thing is there's a lot of ways to be successful without spending a lot of money and getting the most bang for your buck. And something I'm really proud of you doing, which you were not comfortable with, is video content. You hopped on the camera and you recorded yourself when I was like, Helen, get out there and record yourself. So will you tell the people, did that work? Did that get you anywhere?
It's funny because like I'm pretty like outgoing person, but like it's a different space, right? Like all of a sudden, like you have to be out there and 1,000% actually, another, thing for me to thank you on is putting the video content on my website. And it's, at the end of the day, it's such a simple thing to do. It really is. You just like, you again, use ChatGPT, you use the teleprompter on your phone, and, you just, make sure that, the content is good and ChatGPT is there to help you. You rehearse it and you put it out there. And I have had many, many customers tell me, well, I heard you on a website. I heard your video, and you also have 3 boys. So you would understand. I have 3 kids as well. You get it. You're a mom. You get it. Like you understand what it's like to, have a dog as well and have a cat as well. Like you get it. And it just, putting a face to the company, it just makes it real. Like it makes you more real. It makes people want to talk to you, to relate to you, and especially, majority of the time, the people who call us, are women. So seeing another woman run the business, it's just like, it's brownie points, like free brownie points, like just do it. Anyone who is like putting up their website, include as much of personal information about yourself as you can. It will, for sure, get you clients and make you more relatable, and people will trust you and want to do business with you.
And especially, again, it's that whole standing out thing, guys, is especially in the beginning, like it is hard to stand out against companies who have hundreds of reviews and who have been in business for decades. And it's like, you're like, how do I compete? Hop on the dang camera and talk about why you open this business, why you care about this, and what you're going to do differently for them, and what they can expect from working with you and telling, like, we each have a story, and I don't have children. All right. But I certainly could relate to the effects on my mental health of having a clean space or a messy space, and that absolute terror
100%.
of somebody is stopping in unexpectedly and the house is a freaking disaster because I've been way too busy, or I've been kind of depressed and not able to take care of this. But like, that doesn't take away the shame when they show up, and I can't even enjoy their company because I am so beside myself and apologizing for the state of my house, regardless if it's even actually bad or not. Like, I perceive matter. Yeah, my expectations. And so people can relate to that. Like, people are like, oh, me too. And so if you can give that emotion as to like why you care about this, they're going to pick that up. And especially being, we're local to our areas. Like, we're from where our business was born and raised. And so they like working with somebody local. If you, listener, are not from where you have your business, I'm not saying that matters necessarily, but if you do have it, use it, use what you got. Like,
exactly. Yeah. And you're so 100% right. That is your competitive advantage, because I've gone ahead and I looked at other cleaning businesses around me, and I've even called many businesses around me. First of all, very few picked up the phone.
This is why I wanted you on the podcast, because I just knew, I was like, this is going to be so fun. we should probably wrap it up, because we'll talk for hours otherwise. But I would love for everybody to go follow your business Facebook page, check out your business, see how well you're doing. So where can they find you? Where are your socials at?
So majority is Cool Peaches on Facebook, Cool Peaches Cleaning. And then if anyone wants to connect, my email is info@coolpeaches.com. My website is www.coolpeachescleaning.com. Feel free to email, to write, to text, to call. I'd love to hear from anyone. And if there's any, advice that I can help with, I'll be happy to pay it forward.
Yes. Well, thank you, Helen. I'd love to have you on again. This was a delight. And hopefully this is useful to you guys and not just us chitter-chattering away to the void. But I had fun, and I think that's all that matters.
I did it well. As fun as I thought it would be, it was. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity of having me on.
Wherever you're listening, please go leave a review, guys, to the podcast, because that helps other people discover our podcast. And definitely comment your favorite moment down below as well. That helps us with the algorithm god. So give us a share, give us a like, tell your friends, and we'll see you on the next episode of Filthy Rich Cleaners. Bye-bye.